Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Toby Burns is the entrepreneur behind the Silent Disco Company. He says that when it comes to your network, you should surround yourself with people who are better than you or more successful than you, because that will bring you and your business on. Thanks very much for joining me on the podcast today, Toby.
Thanks for having me. Great to be on.
Now I think I'm going to describe you as being a serial entrepreneur. You've had a number of businesses, or have a number of businesses. Have you always had that entrepreneurial spirit?
Always, yeah. From a really young age. I don't like to say like an obsession of like earning money, but I think entrepreneurs do have a little bit of an obsession with doing business or earning money. So from, very early teens, trying to do kids' parties, DJing, that was what I found myself doing.
Yeah.
From a really, even at school doing, all the tech for the productions and, we're going back many, many years, but there's certainly that obsession with working and earning money. That definitely came from a really young age.
Yeah. And so what did you do after school? Did you go straight to working for yourself?
So I wanted to go straight from school at 16 and go straight into work. And it was actually my parents that said, you need to have a backup.
Yeah.
Not so much uni, but certainly a backup of if it all goes wrong, you've got something else. So I never had any doubts, but to please them to a degree, I went to college or sixth form at the time.
Yeah.
But I was very much, and I've spoken about this on other pods, I had a man in a van pick me up from school or sixth form at 3:00, and then I'd go and do a job.
Yeah.
So not your normal teen that, they're going to play football after school or college. I literally had a man with a van who was with me about 4 years, and he would pick me up and I would be going straight to the next party to entertain, and that's how it really all started.
Yeah. And so how successful were you as a DJ? And presumably you had to have equipment for that. How did you get all your equipment together?
So I think I've actually got my first set of decks still in my home office at home. And I remember they were about 200 quid, which was a lot of money back then from Argos.
Yeah.
My wife hates them. She goes, they're ugly. Why are they in the office? And I said, there's something sentimental about that first set of decks that I'll never get rid of them. But I think it was birthday money, savings, and, you get cheap equipment to start with. And then obviously the more you earn, you invest. And I'm certainly not as bad as I was back then, but, a new set of decks come out and you want the latest stuff.
Yeah.
You realise that's not always the best way now. But really, I got into kids entertaining. My brother was a kids entertainer with a much better stage name than me. His stage name was Phil the Beat, and his name was Phil, which I just think is brilliant. Anyway. So I was doing kids' parties, and it's the snowball effect, and it got to a point where I was doing about 10 kids' parties a week.
Wow.
Which, is quite a lot. I'd do sort of 6 at the weekend, 4 during the week, and it's very good money being a kids' entertainer at such a young age. And then I was DJing, but I was really specific with the markets that I wanted to DJ in. And again, I've talked about this before, that my main market at that time was sort of Jewish and Arab clients, as well as corporate events.
Yeah.
These sort of parties have, it's all relative, but they would spend sometimes 100 grand on a 5-year-old's birthday party. But I always say it's relative. If you had £10 million, you'd spend more on a party than someone who earns £10,000.
Yeah.
So, I was doing them, and it got to a point where I stopped the kids' parties at that point because I was quite happy doing 1 or 2 of these sort of large-scale events at the weekend instead of 10 and being out all the time. And then it got to a point where there was that light bulb moment where I actually had an injury by playing football. And I wasn't the best footballer, but I had an injury and I couldn't go out and work. I'd broken a bone, I was in a cast, and if I'm not out earning money, no money's going to come in because people are booking me rather than a company. And then I always wanted to do something that would scale and would scale without me in it.
Yeah.
And silent disco was born, and now those sort of high-end parties I may do 1 or 2 a month.
Yeah.
And that's purely out of enjoyment. I don't need to do them, but I still have... I've had customers now that I've done their 5-year-old's birthday, and now they're getting married.
Yeah.
You know, or it's another celebration, and so word of mouth, I'll still do 1 or 2 a month, and I can enjoy them.
Yeah. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know what silent disco is, how does it work?
Silent disco is really simple. It's a party with everybody wearing headphones instead of music out loud. The main advantage of silent disco, which is so powerful, is that it gives people choice.
Yeah.
And people in this day and age love choice.
Yeah.
So by giving people a choice, you don't have to listen to that egotistical DJ that only wants to play what he wants to play. By having that headphone, you can choose what you want to listen to. And generally our headphones are 3 channels of music or 5 channels of music. And people can choose on the headphone what they want to listen to. Do they want to listen to Cheese or whatever?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's many other advantages of it, such as noise pollution.
Yeah.
So I just call them noisy neighbours. So if you're having a party at home and noise, you put headphones, you can party all night. And it also is entertainment. You're watching people dance to something completely different.
Yes.
And it creates a memory that is lasting forever.
Yeah. And I know that since then you've added other strings to your bow. So tell me about the screen hire that you do. And that can be silent too, can't it?
Yeah, so we went into screen hire, really before COVID, but I hate mentioning the C word. But cinemas really did save us during COVID because that's the only thing you could do is go out and go to a drive-in cinema. But we do that with headphones. We do that with car radio transmission where you can tune in on your radio to listen to the movie, or we do it with speakers if it's outdoor and not driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's been, super successful. It's quite seasonal.
Yes.
And I say that, although in COVID we did one over Christmas and it was very cold, very wet, and I don't think the staff appreciated that one that much. But generally it's quite seasonal, the cinema over summer.
Yeah, yeah. So who do you find hires the outdoor cinemas, and what for?
It's so varied. It may be as an example, a golf club that wants to put on a movie outside in the summer for their members. We do a lot of schools. We do a lot of corporate events that will do an outdoor cinema as part of their wider summer celebration. It may be a council that are putting it on in a local town where they want to run cinemas. So it's really varied. I think now we focus, obviously we do all the movies and stuff, but something that we've seen over the last sort of couple of years with the success of England as well, might touch some nerves, that one. But with the sporting events, that's what primarily we're doing a lot now.
Yeah.
For the racing, the football, the rugby, that's really popular.
Yeah, so it can be live as well as as films.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Have you taken it anywhere that's a bit unusual?
The cinema. We have done quite a few rooftops.
Yeah.
In the centre of London, when you've got to put it on the top of a skyscraper. They're not that big in London, but the wind is a real factor for these screens because they're
Yeah.
like giant kites. So when you're putting it up on a rooftop, it can be a bit, there's a few squeaky moments
Yeah.
as such. And I'm just trying to think where else. Google have it. They do some really cool stuff with their summer party and Christmas party with the screen. But I would say the rooftops, and we've done a couple of the boats as well down the Thames. And again, they're just unusual ones to do the cinema with.
Yeah. Now, I know you also do karaoke as well. Is that still as popular? I was just thinking back to when I first heard of karaoke, and this is going to age me now, but I think it was when Michael Palin was doing his 80 days around the world, and he went to Japan and experienced karaoke for the first time, and nobody here had ever heard of it at that point. And then by the time I was at university, like every weekend there was a karaoke in one of the student bars. Is it still as popular now?
Yeah, I think it's still on the rise, and I think that's come down to all these little karaoke pop-up bars in London and in town centres that, people will go there, hire a pod, and it's amazing. And I think even now, a lot of these venues or like boom battle bars where they've got various games, they're all putting in these karaoke booths because they are popular.
Yeah.
So we'd always done karaoke, but we'd used different apps that were out there or programs that we'd pay for, and we can put them onto like TV sticks and stuff. So we've had different variations, but what we really wanted to do was create something that was super simple, and everything that we do is like dry hire, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Super simple to use, idiot proof I call it as well, that anyone could do it, even your nan. So even though the karaoke was good, the solution we had, it wasn't, there was lots of things that people had to set up still. So we developed our karaoke over around 18 months. I was out in China, met with some factories, and it wasn't so much the product, it's the technology and the software that basically we developed ourselves.
Yeah.
Put that onto the karaoke machine, and literally with our machine, you literally take it out the box, plug it into the power, turn it on, and away you go.
Yeah.
There's nothing to set up, like different cables to this TV. It is literally out the box.
Yeah.
So we're hoping this year, we really launched that January 2024, the new model that we'd worked on for quite a long time. Last summer was really good, really popular. So we've invested quite a lot more into more units. We should have capacity certainly this summer, because even though we're busy all year round, we are seasonal in the degree of our peak period is like May to September time.
Yeah.
And we would hope to have in between like 50 and 100 karaoke machines out every weekend over the summer.
Yeah.
That would be a success for us, and I think we're forecasting to do what we intend to do over the summer.
Yeah. So tell me about how the process works. Somebody hires your either your karaoke or your screen or your silent disco, and it just arrives in a box at their house, does it?
Literally, as you've said it. So one of the key things for us is experience and customer service, because anyone can probably buy this stuff from China or whatever, but it's all about the team that we have behind the scenes and the customer experience. And that's from the minute they book to the minute it gets collected after the event. But everything we do, we try and do on that dry hire model. So we ship everything out with a premium courier. It turns up at your door often 2 days before the event. Get it out the box. You'd set anything that we do, you'd have it set up in under 3 minutes. That's a really key thing for us, that you can get it out the box and be ready to go in under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You'd set it up, run your own silent disco or karaoke. We can provide like loads of different extras just to make your life easier, such as if people don't want to like connect their own phone for the music, we do like fully loaded tablets where we've curated all the music. They're not just random playlists off of a music platform. We've actually created those playlists that we know works.
Yeah.
And then, you'd have it for the weekend, have a fantastic celebration, put it all back in the box, seal it up, and then it gets collected after the event in exactly the same way with the courier.
Yeah. Yeah, very simple, as you say.
You've got to, like, things have to be simple. Like, the more friction and complications that you put into a process, that's where customers will often get confused.
Yeah.
And customers really do want simple,
Yeah.
quick and simple. And that's, time is the most precious thing now in this world, and everyone wants to get time back.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that if they've got a delivery, they have a 1 hour time slot. They don't have to wait in all day. They get a 1 hour time slot. They can be in, they've got their order. Same for collection. They can set it up in under 3 minutes. All those things give people time back.
Yeah.
And knowing that they're getting the very best premium equipment is equally as important. So they know they're not going to have any problems as well.
Yeah. Now, I know a fourth strand of your business is the flash bands. So tell me what these are and what they do.
Yeah, so this is another brand that we developed, and essentially they're light up wristbands that you wear on your wrist. We also do lanyards, but the easiest way to explain is Coldplay.
Yes.
Because Coldplay really brought it to the masses in terms of concerts. Now nearly every concert you see, or a lot of them, will have the flash bands. Even the coronation for the king, all the crowds, they had LED light up wristbands. So we try and focus more on the smaller shows rather than Coldplay, because they want everything. The more you get, that obviously they want a much smaller margin on them.
Yeah.
So we'll focus on weddings and theatres and I call them homegrown festivals.
Yeah.
Not the likes of Glastonbury, but Black Deer Festival is a great little festival that we do. Silverstone Festival, at the Silverstone circuit. Those smaller festivals are our niche.
Yeah.
But again, dry hire service. Everything we do you can have with staff, but 90% would have a dry hire where we send you the bands, they're branded, they're a really nice take-home gift for your guests as well, or you can recycle them.
Yeah.
And then you get a little controller, either a battery handheld one or a more advanced one. And there's loads of different options you can press in terms of like colour modes and different patterns that it will do with the bands. And literally that is it. It's a click of a few buttons. That's probably set up in less than a minute.
Yeah.
And it just gives a really nice display at an event or even a wedding where you're doing little some people do like little favours for guests to take home, whether that's a little bag of chocolate. Like this is just something modern, different. You can reuse it after. You're not just eating the chocolate and it goes in the bin.
Yeah.
So it's a nice novelty for someone to take home as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a chat now about networking, which is the link that holds all my podcast interviews together. So tell me about networking for you and your business. How would you go about it?
So in terms of like personal brand and the development of silent disco, I've always been a believer of surrounding yourselves with people who have been in a similar industry or space.
Yeah.
But certainly people that are better than you.
Yeah.
Or more successful than you, however you measure success, whether that's, if they seem like they've got a better family, work-life balance, whatever success looks like, is surround yourself with those people. Because there's a book and there's a famous quote, which is like, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So I'm a really firm believer in that. So especially in the early days, I'd really network and make sure I was around successful entrepreneurs that had got a large property portfolio or have been importing from China for 10, 15, 20 years, because the knowledge you will gain from that network will help you with your business.
Yes.
So that's really important in terms of a personal level as an entrepreneur, and has helped us with property deals over the year and being creative with certain deals that we do. Obviously, knowledge is power from these people that have been there, done it, and got the T-shirt.
Yeah.
In terms of business, I think LinkedIn is really important for our B2B.
Yeah.
this stuff of content marketing and our podcasts and our YouTube channel of just behind the scenes is a form of networking, of engaging with people that know that we are the experts in our field.
Yeah.
Most of our advertising comes from word of mouth, where people have been to a party and seen us, or have been recommended to us by the service that we offer. Or our main marketing platform would be Google and Meta. Networking is equally as important, but because we don't go to every event, it's hard for our staff to network. If we are doing an event, a corporate event for Google or whatever, and we've got staff on site, we always literally, network with as many people as possible. You never know where the next job will come from. But really, I think the most important thing for me is the personal brand and surrounding myself and asking questions to the right people that, as I said before, have been there and done it.
Yeah. And do you attend conferences or expos or that kind of thing for the business?
Not anymore. We used to do a few. Anyone that does trade shows will know they're costly, but they can have a great return on investment. But they're also time consuming.
Yes.
And that's probably the main thing. And we still experiment with different marketing, whether that be billboards on a motorway. We will still experiment with marketing if it's calculated. But generally, it always comes back down to Google, for example, where if I put £10 in, I know what I'm getting out. And it's much easier to scale, much easier to monitor than a billboard on a motorway. So trade shows, we have done them, or conferences. If we're working at a conference, we'll normally have staff. I'll normally go down on site for some of them, and we network. But I do go to, for me, the most important thing that I can do with my time is go to different trade shows, and I mainly do them abroad, because if a new bit of equipment is being shown in the UK, it already exists in America, or it's been in America a long period of time, because they just are ahead. I visit the US. I was there just 2 weeks ago. I'll be there again next year for a different trade show, and I try and do China once a year. It's becoming trickier with a young family, but I aim to go out to China probably in the next couple of months, and going to the factories, going to these, you go to Canton Fair in China and it makes the Excel or the NEC look like a town hall. They are just vast, and you're seeing stuff that isn't even on the market. They could be prototypes or ideas, and they're looking for, licensees that will take it to different markets. They're the sort of trade shows that really excite me, because you're going to see stuff that has never been seen before. Sometimes you can get in early, or I might see an idea and then my mind starts ticking of, okay, that's good, but I want it to do this. And then you can work with the factory to create something completely unique.
Bespoke to you.
So trade shows are key for me, not of the fact of having a stand selling our services, but really finding new ideas and products that we can bring to market.
Now, you mentioned a little bit ago your YouTube channel and podcast. So tell me something about what's on there.
So podcasting first, again, time is, you only have 24 hours in the day. So it's how you spend that. I've thought about doing our own podcast many, many times, but as you will know, having guests regularly, it's a lot of work that goes into having your own podcast, you will know too well. So I get asked to guest on a lot of podcasts now, from specialising in entertainment, or whether we're just discussing UK entrepreneurship and young entrepreneurs, which I'm really passionate about. The YouTube is really where we've spent a lot of time over the last 18 months. And again, YouTube, people see YouTube and think, if I get a couple of viral videos, I'm going to be earning thousands, like KCI. it doesn't happen like
No.
that. It's a lot of time, a lot of work. Generally, you got to run a YouTube for 2-3 years before you start seeing any success. But what we tried to do is, we have 2 channels. We have Toby Burns, the Eventrepreneur, so a little play on words, and really that shows a little bit behind the scenes of the Silent Disco Company, what I get up to week on week, showing me going to different podcasts, and also I have a property portfolio, so we may be going to see new properties, we might be dealing with tenants and issues and all of that. So that's shows a little bit behind the scenes of me and what I get up to. Probably not that exciting, but we try and make it. And then Silent Disco, which we've got a really good following now, and we really want to aim by the end of this year to get that to 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
It's sitting well above 40 now, so we're on our way. But that would be our aim. And that is really behind the scenes of the Silent Disco Company, which houses all the other brands that we have. And behind the scenes of events as well, because I think that's what people really want to see. Like in the last episode, we did an event in Paris, which was just for a corporate event. So we try and show the viewers a little bit of what we get up to and the issues that we face as a business week on week. And they're the YouTube channels, which are going really well. And it's all about, if people can see the issues that we get with customers and see how we deal with them to make sure that no customer is without, I think that's so powerful.
Yes.
To see what goes on behind the scenes, that if there is an issue or the courier has sent your parcel to Scotland instead of Manchester, how we deal with that to make sure that your wedding has the headphones it needs, for example. And I think by putting that on video and documenting it and vlogging it as such, it will be super powerful in 2, 3, 5 years' time when there's another 200 episodes on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my final question then, Toby, if people want to connect with you or find out more about your business, what's the best place for them to find you?
So for any of our businesses, best place to go is at the Silent Disco Company on all the social platforms. And if you want to see some of the YouTube stuff as well, it's the Eventrepreneur or Toby Burns, or again at the Silent Disco Company, and you'll see all the bits we get up to and all the social links from YouTube as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. I've really enjoyed our chat.
Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.